Welcome back to the UFC Pros Pick Show. I am James Lynch. He is James Krause. And of course, we're joined by Nick Kalikas. We're going to be talking about UFC Vegas 52, Amanda Lemos, Jessica Andrade going down at the Apex this Saturday. But before we get into that, we got to recap last week. Krause was on the money with Bilal Muhammad. I know that wasn't a bet of the week, but you called it to a T, so I got to give you credit for that. But I can't give you credit for Trey Ogden. He didn't get that decision. Close fight. Could have gone either way, but ended up going for Jordan Levin in that one. I had Kevin Kroom. That didn't work out. And I also had Jakar Close by decision. Jakar Close decides to get his first finish in the UFC in ever. So there you go. It's going to happen. But this week, we're really feeling good about some of the plays we got on here. And we'll start in the main event. We've got Jessica Andrade taking on Amanda Lemos, like I mentioned there. Andrade's the favorite, minus 196. The comeback on Lemos, plus 169. Krause, we'll start with you first. Who are you liking in the main event?
Well, I think, I mean, if you just pull up their Tapology and look at their records, I think you're going to see, I mean, who has Jessica Andrade lost to that isn't just elite in that division? You know, she is, to me, and she's beat some of those too. You know what I mean? So, I think I got her at like minus 170, minus 175. I think that price tag, you have to play her. Lemos had some real problems, in my opinion, with Angela Hill. Started out fast and then faded over 3 rounds, and we have 5 rounds. Here, Andrade she's always in shape. She's a bulldozer, fast, strong, hits hard. I just feel like over the course of 25 minutes, Andrade is going to find her rhythm and pull away from this fight. And I wouldn't be surprised. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a finish.
Nick, who are you liking here in the main event? And anything interesting with the line movement, too?
Well, it opened around minus 200 market wide, and Lemos did get some action early on. But now, as we're getting closer to fight day, we're seeing the action come back in on Andrade as well. And everything that you guys said so far, I mean, it's hard not to argue with. I think that's why a lot of people are hopping on Andrade right now, because they do feel like Lemos is going to be tough early on. But as the fight progresses, then it's going to switch over to Andrade. I think that's right. But I think I'll tell you what, the first couple rounds are going to be very difficult for Andrade. So for me, I think it's a dog or pass situation. I would not lay the chalk in this spot against Andrade. This is a very big fight for Lemos. Like you guys said, Andrade has been there, done that. She's fought the best of the best and only lost to quality competition. But Lemos in the first couple rounds is going to be tough to deal with. She's a finisher. She's capable of putting some damage on Andrade as well. So for me, I would avoid laying the chalk here. I think we could see a surprise upset, especially early in this fight.
Interesting. I'm big on Andrade in this fight. And I think you could almost argue that Andrade has been known to come out really strong, like we saw in the Caitlin Chukagian fight. No one other than Valentina has done that to Caitlin in terms of finishing her. And that was up a weight class. We should mention that Andrade coming back down to 115. I think that's a better weight class for her. And the thing with Andrade is, how many women do you see with knockout power like she has? I still remember that knockout she had over Karolina Kowalkiewicz. Like, that was insane. I know it was years ago, but still the power that she possesses, a lot of women don't have that. And I think that's definitely something in her arsenal. Now, Lemos as well is someone that can go out there and get a finish, like you mentioned early on. I think she's got a puncher's chance, but it's nothing Andrade hasn't seen. Krause referenced it there. Look at the losses. Namajunas, close fight in that rematch. She also beat Namajunas in the first fight. Valentina Shevchenko, last time I checked, Valentina's beaten everyone in that weight class. To me, it's too much of a step up here for Lemos. Again, puncher's chance for sure, but I just think Andrade is still competing at a high level. And I think, again, you just look at who she's finishing. Cynthia Calvillo. I mean, these are good wins to have under the resume.
This is my thing, is like, she's fought Joanna, she's fought Shevchenko, she's fought Rose, and these girls aren't finishing her. Like, what makes you think that Lemos, who's a notorious gasser, is gonna, you know what I mean? Like, in the first 2 rounds, I feel like everybody's dangerous in the first 2 rounds. You know what I mean? And I don't disagree with what you're saying, Nick, but like, I'm seeing, like, not only I'm seeing the pound for pound woman best fighter on the planet couldn't finish her. You know, I'm saying, like, the arguably the number 2, or the, you know, we're talking about the elites of the division. I'm not talking about like, oh, somebody that's went, you know, top 10. I'm talking about the elite 1, the elite 2, and the elite pound for pound couldn't put her away. Like, I don't see it. And I feel comfortable. You know, you guys know me. I'm always laying the chalk, so I'm going to lay it here. I feel good about it.
Well, I disagree, though. She has been put away a little bit, right? Meaning,
Shevchenko finished her. Yeah, I was going to say.
Shevchenko finished her. Zhang, don't forget, Wiley finished her as well, right? I mean, she blasted her early in that fight, too.
Another elite.
Yeah, another elite. I get it, but I'm saying like Lemos, she's up there as far as finishing ability. I think early on in the fight, she's gonna hit Andrade. Andrade again. What you guys said, I'm not arguing. I think it's backed by facts, right? She's been in there with like the best of the best. She's a strong starter, and she can finish strong too. That's the concern here. If I was gonna back Lemos and put my money on it, honestly, I would be worried about her gassing as it went a little bit too. So she has to pretty much get it done early. I get that. If not, I agree with you. I don't think it's gonna hit the scorecards. I think either Lemos is gonna get it done early, or she's gonna get finished late herself. Is what I think is going to go. So I don't think this hits his cards.
Well, yeah, there's two ways you can play it. You can go fight doesn't go the distance. Probably not going to get much value there, but some value where you could get some is Andrade by knockout. I think that's likely how she wins. It's 5 rounds. I just don't see a scenario where Andrade wins the decision, right? So if you're on the Andrade side like I am, I think the knockout prop is worth it. And that was something I was considering for my prop bet of the week, but stay for that a little bit later in the show. Okay, let's keep going. The co-main event, we have Clay Guida still fighting. It's amazing how long he's been in the promotion. He's taking on Claudio Puelles, and right now at the time of recording, Guida just a slight favorite. I've seen this line go, it's been pretty even throughout, but Clay Guida -111, the comeback on Puelles, -109. Nick, line movement-wise, what are you seeing, and who are you liking in this one?
It's been kind of crazy here with the line movement because it's kind of been back and forth again as well. Puelles opened -175 market wide, and then Guida ended up flipping to a favorite, and now we're seeing the back action come towards Puelles as well because we've had a lot of sharp action hit that side. So I think the sharps are going to be on the Guida side eventually as well. They're going to end up buying back. But for right now, most of the sharp action is coming in on Puelles. And I think rightfully so, man. I think this guy keeps on improving. Guida, of course, again, talk about fighting the best of the best and being around the roster for a long time. Quality fighter. We know he's going to come in there, try to possibly get some takedowns. If he keeps it upright, I mean, his stand-up's not bad. It's going to be a pretty competitive fight, I think, on the feet. But obviously we know Guida likes to grind people out a little bit, but that could get dangerous here against a guy like Puelles. So for me, I think it's a Puelles or pass situation, especially at a pick'em type of price. So the action has verified that with, the sharps coming in backing him as well.
Krause, who are you liking here?
I'm going to respectfully disagree again. I like Guida here. I do think this is a pick'em fight, but I think this is a stylistic, tough fight for Puelles. I think that, I referenced the Jordan Levitt fight. Levitt took him down pretty handily in round 1 and held him down for the whole round. I think that Guida is going to be able to keep that pace up through 3 rounds. And I think the only reason that didn't continue to happen within the Levitt fight was Levitt slowed a little bit. Guida's not going to slow. He's going to be there. I think he's going to wrestle his way to a decision here. I really do.
Now, this isn't the James gang up on Nick's show. I want to be clear about that. But I'm on the same side here. I do like Clay Guida in this fight as well. And here's the thing, like if you would have, if it was maybe a couple fights ago and we saw some of the performances that Guida had and we're like, this fight was being made, I'd maybe feel a little bit better about Puelles, but Guida looked really good in his last fight against Leo Santos. And I know it's Leo Santos, he's up there in age, but to finish him, to do what he was able to do in that fight, the pace he still puts on, he looks in as good of shape as we've seen him throughout his career, like the pace, the pressure. I don't really think Puelles has fought anyone like that. And I just haven't been overly impressed with Puelles in his run so far. Krause mentioned the Levitt fight. Yeah, he got the win, but he got taken down in the first round. The last win over Chris Grutzmacher is a guy who's borderline in the UFC roster right now. Guida's seen all that. There's nothing that Puelles is going to bring to the table that Guida hasn't seen. I like Guida by decision in this fight. I don't think he typically finishes a lot of his opponents. I think you could probably even go fight goes the distance. I know Guida has been finished, but that's not typical for his career. I like Guida here. I think he gets it done by decision. And I think if you like him like I do, you take the decision prop, Clay Guida by decision. So that's my thoughts.
I love the fight that go to the distance either way too.
Yeah, Puelles is going to finish him, baby. Puelles is going to sub him along the way.
There we go. Let's see. And then we got a lot to talk about next week. Yeah, that'll be good.
That's a possibility. I mean, Guida hasn't been sub for a while, but again, I mean, I think that in a situation like this, it's going to be an interesting matchup because Puelles might be able to do it.
I think the only way Guida gets subbed is by guillotine, and I don't see Puelles doesn't have a great guillotine, or at least he hasn't shown that in the past. I think Puelles' only way to win is by knockout, and I don't see that. I don't think he's going to win the decision for sure. I don't see him sub. We'll see. You know what I mean? Like obviously anything can happen.
That's the beauty of the sport. Yeah.
Yeah. That's why we have the show, or it wouldn't matter, But I feel like the biggest thing that we're not talking about, or we've kind of mentioned it, is the wrestling. Like, how is Puelles going to out wrestle Guida? I just don't see it. I don't see that.
Let's talk about a few other fights on this card. Maybe we can kind of pick one that we want to focus on. One, I actually haven't even talked to you guys off air about this. Charles Jourdain and Lando Venata fight is really interesting to me because you've got Venata, who, I think on paper is, arguably fought the better competition. He's been around longer, older guy, but hasn't fought in about a year, coming off that split decision over Mike Grundy. And you got Charles Jourdain, who I think promising prospect. Remember the win over Doo Ho Choi, stood and traded with Andre Fili, close fight there. But then, he had the loss of Julian Erosa, which still sticks in my head because it was a fight that I think he could have won. Where do you guys sit on this fight? I was kind of curious about that one.
I'll go first on this one. I kind of want to stay away from it.
Yeah, that's my thinking too.
Both these guys have shown inconsistency, and like we've talked about this in the past. For me, whenever I go to put money on a fighter, like I look for things like consistency. Like I need to know at least like, hey, if this person's going to show up, they're going to show up the same every time. Now from there, I can make a decision on whether I think, but if you don't know which guy is going to show up, you can't make an educated decision on stylistic matchup or anything like that. And both of these guys have shown like chinks in the armor in the past for me on their ability to show up. And it's tough for me. It's tough for me to put money on that. Now, if you have a gun to my head and say, pick one, I lean Jourdain, but I don't feel great about it. Venata has looked improved lately. It's a tough one, but for me, that I've seen some inconsistencies on both sides, so it's really tough for me. I do like the over in this fight, though.
Nick, what do you like in that fight, and any other fights you kind of wanted to touch on here?
I gobbled up the plus money of Veneta, actually, because if there's any plus money on there, so I'm already on that side. I just think it's going to be a competitive fight on the feet, but I think he can mix in some takedowns along the way. And we have seen Jourdain get put on his back and controlled a little bit. So I think that's why it's intriguing to get plus money of Veneta here in this spot. And he's dropped down to 145. I mean, it was a very competitive fight, obviously, in his debut at 145. But that being said, I think this is a better fit and better weight class for him. So again, I think it's going to be competitive, but I do think Veneta is going to be able to pull out a decision win here. So I'm on the Veneta side.
There's some other fights you guys were talking about. Krause, was there any ones you wanted to sort of hone in on, some other matchups? I know you were talking to me about that. What was it? The Prashino and Felipe Lins fight. I don't know if there's any other fights you guys want to talk about. I guess we'll kind of just kind of glance over it, and then we'll get onto the prop and bet of the week.
Macy Barber, De La Rosa.
Oh, Montana. Yeah. Close fight for sure.
Where are you guys at with that?
I'm on the dog on that one. I think De La Rosa wins. Again, we were sort of talking off air about this, the strength of Macy Barber, but I mean, I thought she lost that fight. I know she fought Grasso a fight before that. Grasso's pretty damn good, but I just think she's been off a lot. Since that knee injury, there's not been a lot of consistency with Macy Barber. Another long layoff going into this fight. Montana's been a little bit more consistent. I think you're seeing the fruits of her training at Elevation Fight Team that we saw in the Lipsky fight. I think that was good. I think it's a 50-50 fight, and anytime you have that, I go with the dog. So I'm going with Montana in this one to win a decision. That fight's definitely going the distance, though.
I don't know. I think Barber's going to bust her up on the feet. I think she's going to piece her up. I mean, that's the problem with De La Rosa. If she can't get the fight to the floor on the feet, she's getting better, but she gets marked up quite a bit. And Barber hits a little bit harder than most of these ladies in that weight class. So for me, I think if De La Rosa can't get this fight to the floor, she's going to get pieced up.
Mm-hmm. Well, there you go.
One of the things that I worry about with this fight is the physicality of Barber. Like she's an athlete, she's an athlete, and she's very, very physical. She's very strong. And like Nick said, she hits a little harder. I think that's just going to carry into the fight. I think she's going to be a little stronger. She's going to be a little more athletic, a little faster, hit a little harder. And I will say that Montana has looked a lot better lately. And that does scare me to put money on Barber. I'll be honest with you guys. But gun to my head, Barber, or the play for me would be fight goes the distance, over, goes the distance or goes over. But gun to my head, I gotta go Barber. I just think she's going to be too much athletically. But I will say this: Montana has looked incredible lately. I think she's looked a lot better. Anytime that you notice, like when somebody goes to a camp and you notice, like, oh wow, this person has gotten better this fight and then better this fight. Like obviously that goes back to the consistency. Is like one of the things that scares me is I'm like, well, how much she got better the fight before last and then better this fight. Is she going to come out like crazy this fight? I don't know. And that's kind of what scares me. I do have one more fight that I want to talk to you about, and we haven't talked about it. Dean Barry, Mike Jackson. How have we not brought this? You know what I mean? Like, how do you not?
I do have a fun one after this. We can touch on this one that you said, but I do have a fun one that is intriguing to me after this. But go ahead. I'll let you guys discuss.
I'm interested to hear your thought. For me, like, you have to play Mike Jackson. You have to. You have to. You have to, right? Am I crazy?
You're almost
Like,
guessing at this point to what Mike Jackson's going to show up and look. And there is one thing that is interesting about this fight that a lot of people aren't talking about because Barry's a huge favorite. Barry's not a welterweight. He wants to fight at featherweight. That's his ideal weight class.
He's not good. Like,
Yeah.
like watch.
I was just talking about this in the office yesterday about this. Exactly. He should not be this high of a favorite. No.
His ground game is awful. Like it's not. It's like Unfortunately, we're watching a regional level fight, and I don't mean to. I feel like I'm being disrespectful. I don't mean to be disrespectful to these guys because obviously it takes a lot just to get in here and fight. Neither one of these guys, in my opinion, have the skill to be in the UFC. But Mike Jackson at plus 700 is absolutely ridiculous to me. Like I'm playing Mike Jackson. Like I'm gonna play him. You know what I mean? And that's absurd to even think that line could be that way because. It's like Barry's a good striker, but dude, like if you watch Jackson fight, like he's not a pushover. You know what I mean? Like he's gonna fight you.
Couldn't finish a pro wrestler though.
Yeah, man, but he was toying with that dude, bro. You know what I mean? And like I get it. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But I've seen Dean Barry fall over and get you know what I mean? Like, dude, like
well, and Anthony Taylor, who used to be in Bellator, he beat Dean Barry years ago. And that was a lightweight fight. Yeah. So it's just like I like that's just a big fat
Jackson
pass to me.
Way bigger, bro. Way
no,
bigger.
he is. Yeah. No, I can attest to that. Yeah.
So like what how am I plus 700 on a guy that's 2 weight classes bigger? And I don't think the skill is like, okay,
yeah,
Nick.
I see what you're saying.
Nick, if you were gonna cap this fight, where would you put the line at? I have my number in my head. Where would you put the line at?
Honestly, a fair spot for this fight would. I mean, with the hype, that's the thing. You got to understand, people are not going to respect Jackson.
I'm talking about where you think it should
straight line. It should probably be around 400, 500, 600, maybe at the most. I mean, legitly, if you're looking at skill set, all this stuff, and that's probably a little bit overplayed.
I don't even think it's
like 1,000 now.
I was going to go 2-1 favorite.
See, I was going to go 3. I was going to go 3. 350.
Okay.
Then you guys definitely should bet. If you guys feel that strong about it, then there's no question you should bet Jackson.
I'm going to.
I don't know. I mean, Jackson he's been on the roster for a while. It's almost like, he was just sitting out for the opportunity to come in and kind of take an L to hype up somebody. And I think that's a spot that Barry's in. But again, I understand Barry's not that good. So this is just a weird situation for him. I'm just staying away from it, honestly. But if you guys want to bet this fight, it's obviously dog or pass.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. We spent way too much time on Dean Barry, Mike Jackson, by the way. Just
I got to point that out.
Yeah, no, for sure. Let's get to our prop bet of the week. I kind of alluded to it earlier. I like the over. Well, actually, I like the fight goes the distance in Macy Barber and Montana De La Rosa. That's minus 225. But I got to get closer to dog money, so I'm going to parlay that with Jessica Andrade. Like I said, I'm big on Andrade on this card. I have a very hard time seeing her lose this fight, and I think with it being 5 rounds, her experience, her knockout power, I'm going Andrade. So you parlay those two together, you're getting closer to plus money. Your thoughts on that? And Krause, what's your prop bet of the week?
I like that play. Yeah, I like that play a lot. My prop of the week would be, I feel pretty strongly about this. I feel really good about this one. Prochnio Lens over 1.5 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
I feel really good about that. Prochnio is super durable. And you know what else is crazy to me? And Nick, maybe you can elaborate on this. Whenever I see guys like this is almost a pick 'em fight. I think Lens is like minus 120 to minus 110. And then when you see something like over 1.5 rounds at like minus like 170, or I think that's 165, 170. Like, tell me what's the process? Like, you're telling me this is a pick 'em fight, but you're saying that this is gonna, you know what I mean? It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Like, these guys are evenly matched, but you're saying that 1.5 rounds is the mark is where it's gonna end. Like, that doesn't make sense to me a lot.
You got to look at the durability factor, though, in both of them. I disagree with you. I don't think Prochnio was that durable, though, right? I mean,
Khalil Roundtree could knock him out.
I know. That is pretty impressive, to be honest with you, because I thought for sure there was going to be a finish in that fight. I would have thought that fight would go to the cards. I certainly did not.
Money on that.
Right. Nice. That's awesome. But I was surprised by that. So I think there is a little bit of leeway of like give there. Lens has been knocked out as well. So, you got to factor that in. You got 2 guys that are going to go out there and probably, put it together and bang. I do agree with you. I think there's a good opportunity. And I like that because it's against the grain going over 1.5 rounds. But you got to look at it like that. I mean, both these guys have been finished. They have finishing ability as well.
Neither are big punchers, though. You know what I mean? They're not like huge punchers, and they're both fairly durable. I mean, Prochnio for sure. Okay, cool. If you're telling me there's a small lean on Lens, but Prochnio, like, okay, Lens can knock him out, but Khalil Roundtree couldn't. Like, I just don't. You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense to me.
I get
what
that
you're
as
saying.
well, but every fight's a little bit different, though, right? Like
Sure,
we've
sure.
seen some guys that like elite submission artists get in there with a fighter and not submit a fighter. Then the very next fight, that same guy that didn't get submitted by the elite submission artist gets submitted by somebody half as good. So I don't know. It's weird sometimes with that, but I agree with you, though. I do think there's probably value on the over, and it's against the grain, so I do like that.
Fair enough.
Nick, do you have a prop bet this week?
Yeah, I think again, Lemos and Andrade does not hit the scorecards, and I think that you're seeing like minus 170, under 200 for sure out there in that prop. It's not going to hit the scorecard. Somebody's going to finish. I think again, Lemos has that finishing ability. It could happen early, but if not, she's not going to make it with Andrade 5 rounds. She will fade and gas in round 4, round 5. I think Andrade is going to get a finish there at least if she didn't get her out of there earlier. So I don't think this fight hits the scorecard. So again, take the fight does not go the distance. Andrade Lemos.
I like all those plays. Let's get to our bet of the week. Krause, start us off. What are you liking this week?
I picked up Andrade at like 170, minus 170, minus 175. I think at that price, like that's an insane price to me. We're talking about this woman has only lost to the elites in the division. I think the step up for Lemos is too much too soon. And when I look at Lemos, we're like 3 years removed from her getting finished by Leslie Smith, I think. And then a split decision, Yeah, no, I see you shaking your head, Nick. No, I get it. That doesn't always tell the whole story. But I see her against Angela Hill, her last fight, and this is her last fight, right? Like I see her against Angela Hill, and there's big holes in her game in 3 rounds. And it's not like Angela Hill is some bulldozer. You know what I mean? Like she doesn't have a ton of pop. She's got good cardio. She doesn't have any pop, though. She doesn't have a lot of danger factor. And you're dealing with somebody that has been in there in Andrade 4 or 5 rounds against the elites in the division, taking big shots, giving big shots. She's knocked out some of those elites, and I think she's going to find a finish here. I like Jessica Andrade at that price point. I think you have to play her, in my opinion. And I know she shot up. I think she's like minus 200 now. I think, and that to me that tells me that we're headed in the right direction. You know, it was a good play at minus 170 for me.
Nick, what do you like in there?
I'm going to go with, we touched on it earlier, Jourdain versus Veneta. I think if you get plus money on Veneta, it's going to be a close competitive fight. I get that, but I think he can mix in the takedowns, and at plus money, he should be a slight favorite, honestly, in this spot. So I like him dropping down 145 pounds, and I think he's going to win this fight. So for me, it's Lando Veneta. Take the plus money there if you get it.
Fight we haven't even talked about is going to be my bet of the week. Manel Kape. I really like him against Sumajeri here. Kape has been on a roll. He's finally got his footing in the UFC. Remember, he had that tough debut against Alexander Pantoja. Fights Matthias Nicolau. I thought he won that fight. That was a close one, split decision. And then what has he done since then? He's knocked out his last 2 opponents. This guy's got some serious power. Loving the progression he's been making in the UFC. I know Sumajeri's never been knocked out before, so maybe you don't do the knockout prop there. You just take him straight up. You're still getting him under 2-1. I like Manel Kape to get it done. And I think after this, you're going to start to hear about him maybe fighting for a title here pretty soon. He's looked awesome. So yeah, that's my bet of the week. Seems like you guys are nodding your heads, so I think we're good there. So there we go.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be a good fight. I mean, you know, Sumajeri is a freaking beast as well. Like he's awesome. He's got some length. He's got some activity for sure. He's going to be trying to push a pace. But like you said, Kape, man, he's got that finishing ability that he could just end it with any one strike. It can be a knee, elbow, punch, whatever the case may be. And he is getting better. That's what I like. There's upside there for sure.
Make sure you check out this show on MMA Oddsbreakers YouTube channel. We do it here every single week. We'll be back, of course, next week previewing the next UFC card that is coming up. Rob Font, Chito Vera. In the meantime, make sure you check out James Krause on his Instagram. He's got the Discord chat as well. There's a lot of stuff going on there. Make sure you check out Nick on UFC on the Line and everywhere else. Check me out on Twitter @LynchOnSports. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Enjoy the fights this weekend, and we'll talk to you guys soon.